There we go. So welcome everybody to our Ask the Doc call for March 22nd today already. Wow. Just coming off an amazing opportunity event where we had 360 guests on an opportunity information open house, where of course our friend and VP of Clinical Strategies, Dr. Mark, was our one of our guest speakers on there, as he's always so willing to do. We're so grateful for that. And for those of you that are new and jumping on here, these calls are always recorded. They're always put in the guide section of the Team Vaccination Facebook page under the guides tab that says recorded calls. And you'll see, you can look up by date, just type in Ask the Doc. They're also segmented in Guide 13, and we try to segment them by questions and break them down as a per question basis. So if it's a particular question you're looking for, you don't have to search throughout this this whole call. You can look and identify very quickly if that fits the answer that you're looking for. So we hope that's helpful to everybody. And of course, all of us on here, as associates, we're learning. We learn to speak the language better because of these calls. Anybody that has brought a guest on here, we hope the guests will get a better understanding after these calls of exactly how amazing this technology is. Because as Dr. Mark always said, if you could see what this was doing for you, you wouldn't go a day without it. So it's my great pleasure to introduce my friend, my working partner, our VP of Clinical Strategies, the good news doctor, Dr. Mark DeBrincat. Welcome, Mark.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for having me once again. Hope everybody's doing well today.
We're really looking forward to this call. We had, I think, coming off that open house opportunity event, we had, our first virtual one we've ever done. We had 360 guests on that call. So that was fantastic, and we're going to come right back and key up another one to do in the UK with our UK friends and teammates over in across the pond there. So we're looking forward to it. But one of the things that is a common question, Dr. Mark, that always comes up is people are starting to use the language of HPT is the gateway, HPT is the front door, HPT, and so maybe we can just elaborate for our new friends that are on this call that why HPT being Human Performance Technology is the acronym, and why it is so important. As you know, anybody on this call, we're not claiming to treat, diagnose, or cure any ailments other than what we have studies for. But it's very important. Our first Jay's first product line or first modality was the HPT, the Human Performance Technology, and we call it the gateway to our brainstem. And so maybe we could talk a little bit about that, Dr. Mark.
Sure. So another thing that Jay mentioned on the call the other day, which it's a great way to start off this call, is when we talk about our health and our vitality, it's all about the function of our nervous system, not about treating and chasing down conditions and diseases and things in the body, as much as giving the credit back to our nervous system for doing the healing. So we have 6 different products now that target different parts of the brain and of our neurology and help bring those parts back to homeostasis. Now, each one of these products will stand on its own, strongly and have amazing effects on our nervous system. But the one that we have over, I guess, close to 7 million people now wearing is that Human Performance Technology, because its target is the brainstem. And so with all the research we've done, it's an average of 36 to 34% change, whether it's day or night, in the overall entire brain with that product. And so maybe it takes 10% to open up the brainstem and allow that traffic to clear. And then you got an extra 24, 26% to go somewhere. Where does it go? It always seems to go to the part of the brain that you need the most. And so it's not up to the tech to know where to go. It's up for your innate intelligence to know where to go when all of a sudden I have more workers on the job to get more things done. It's going to automatically flow to the point of the weakest area or the path of least resistance, and that's where you need it the most. And so um, we love using this product first because it's going to help all the other products in essence respond quicker and um, help the rest of your whole neurology respond better, because this is the one that's kind of like the janitor that has the key to the whole building. He can get into any room within inside the building. That's your HPT. All the other technologies have a specific room in the brain that they're going to, and they're going to do amazing things in the brain in that area. Now, if HPT was already hanging out in that room, well, it's going to leave immediately once the other tech gets there that knows how to deal with that room, in its completeness. And so, as I said, it can stand on its own. But if you open up the front door first, those other technologies are going to be able to access those parts of the brain faster. And overall, you will be healthier and better because now you have the combination of several things working for you at the same time.
Great, fantastic. Now we know that we have our HPT in a patch. We also have it in a product line with socks, insoles, knee brace, and shapewear. But we also have our HPT in a patch format for those that want to go shoeless and or sockless, I should say, and don't want to necessarily have socks on when they sleep. But we also have our Neurovax patch, and we also have our REM sleep patch now, and we also have our metabolic optimization patch, our Meta patch. Now they all have a time frame on them, where they're actively working. The sleep patch, the REM patch is a 24-hour patch where obviously, if you want to wear it when you go to bed, whenever that is. And if you sleep 8, 10, 12 hours, that's great. There's no point in leaving it on any longer, even though it's 24 hours. But we also have the Neurovax patch, the HPT patch, and the Meta patch now that are basically a 48-hour patch. Now, one of the questions we have is what makes it lose its effectiveness after wearing it for that time frame of 48 hours, and why is it important to be aware of that and be ready to put on a new patch?
So, that's a great question. A lot of times people think that as long as it still stays stuck on me, it's working. And you know what? It might be working to a little bit of an extent, but typically it's the heat of your body that alters the plastic material over time. And so it'll start to degrade it. And once any part of that design gets broken, the code doesn't work anymore. So, you have people that do crazy things like tape it onto their body to make it last more than 48 hours, but the tech itself isn't going to be working after 48 hours because the heat of your body changes the design and then it's just ineffective. So it really is designed to be utilized for just that 48-hour window and then replace it. And then let me also say, with wearing the tech, we have had people that complain that they may have worn it for a while and eventually they got a rash underneath where the patch was. And that happens for different reasons for different people. We've upgraded these patches over the years to make them more hypoallergenic, and so people won't be so sensitive to the glue that's holding it down. But what we've also found is in the bigger patches, like the newer ones are coming out now smaller and smaller, but our original ones were larger, and especially with the Meta patch, that's the biggest one. And when it's covering a large surface area of skin for a long time, and that skin's deprived of oxygen, it can start to create the rash or the sensitivity to that skin. So we would suggest when you do replace the patch, put it in a different arm or put it in a different part of your body, and don't just keep wearing it in the exact same place every single day, because over time it might become sensitive for some of those people. But To answer the original question, it's just the design is super complex, just like your socks. If you look at the bottom of your socks and you can't determine a different pattern in that rectangle on the ball of the foot, because you may have run out to the mailbox a couple times of the concrete, and now you have little beaded balls of
You've got
material
a hole in one of your
on,
socks.
on the bottom of your
Your
sock. That's going to make them not effective, and also not work anymore. So we want to take care of the actual surface of the socks. The insoles are pretty darn durable. Those will last probably the longest out of everything. But just like any of it, if that design is altered or broken in any way, that tech is no longer effective. So, some people can make them last years. Other people are a little bit harder on their clothes and on their stuff, and they can go through them in a few months and, and so forth. And so I love the fact that we just have so many options of ways of keeping this technology on your body.
Exactly. And I know that even myself, Dr. Margaret, sometimes I wonder because I've never had any skin reactions myself to any of the patches, other than the fact that, yes, I forgot and left it on there longer than 48 hours. And I've got a little bit of, redness around the edges or whatever. But I find that if I've had any reaction at all, wearing it in the timeline, it always seems to be reflective of maybe something I ate. I'm not sure whether that's the case or not. It's just ironic that it seems to be in a timing if if my diet's gone, too greasy with fried foods or whatever. But I find that, most certainly when you move the patch around, it helps with rashes. And I know that even wearing Band-Aids can, in the same spot over a time, over a wound, the skin can get very irritated as well. So I encourage people, would you encourage people as well to move the patch around after the prescribed position of the first 48 hours and move it different places? And maybe, we can explain a little bit about how the brain recognizes after the original position, why the original position is important, and how the brain recognizes that pattern in different areas of your body after wearing it in that position for the first prescribed timeline.
Sure. So we have certain targeted areas of our body called dermatomes. And a dermatome is nothing more than a region of skin that can be traced back to a level of your spinal cord where the nerves of your spine are regulating and controlling that limb or that part of your body or that region of your skin as far as sensation and touch goes. And so there are areas that are super rich in that neurology, one of them being the inside of the forearm. Okay, so this is an area that we always protect. It's protected if I'm about to get injured. We hold our arms close to our body like that. The outside of your arm can take contact. Inside of your arm is more fragile. And so this is an area where we have a lot of very complex neurology. And so we like to use your dominant arm, the hand that you write with, because that hand is going to have more fine-tuned motor skills. And so once it's in this region, it becomes a very clear, actionable signal to the brain. Now, what I mean by that is most that 400 bits of data going through your brain every second, 400 million bits of data going through your brain every second. Most of that is just noise. It has a job to do. It's going to a part of your brain. The rest of the brain doesn't care. It's like traffic going by as you're sitting on the side of the highway. I don't really care what vehicles are going by. I'm just waiting for it to clear. So with that, the traffic is going through the brain. Okay, and so when we have our ability to allow that neurology to function better, all that does is it allows our neurology to express itself in a better way. And so tell me again the main question that you're asking me.
We talked about, the wearing it in the prescribed spot
Okay,
first.
in the prescribed spot. So
Right.
after that actionable signal, yeah, thank you. So after the actionable signal is received to the brain, so most of this information is just noise passing through the brainstem, but certain information becomes an actionable signal. Like let's say there's a bear in my backyard that's trying to get into my side door. Okay, well, if I see that happening, that's information that becomes actionable, which means I need to do something about that right away. And so think of Vox, like all of these products that we put on our body, it's recognized by the brainstem as an actionable signal, especially if it's happening. Okay, like seeing the bear trying to get into my house. Now, once that actionable signal is then decoded by the nervous system, filtered, and then encoded back into the nervous system, it becomes a recognizable signal very easily. And so then after I've learned it and imprinted it back into my nervous system, I can put that patch anywhere on my body and it's going to have the exact same effect. It's already familiar. I don't have to learn it again. And so that's the easiest way to understand that. And much like learning a bike, you could not ride a bike for 6 months or 6 years and get on it and remember right away how to do it. Another analogy that I like that Jay uses a lot is if I had my hand out and my eyes closed and I asked you to draw something on my hand and you just drew, let's say, the number 3, I could tell you, you just drew a number 3, or I might say an M or a W, depending on how I perceived that touch. But let's just say we all agreed it was a 3. Well, then he could walk around to my back and draw a 3 on my back, and I'd be like, okay, there's 3 again. And then over here on my arm, draw it again. I'd be like, okay, there's 3 again. Once I know it, it doesn't matter where you're touching me. I know what it is. Okay. Another one is he says, if you put your hand out and close your eyes, and I put something in your hand, like an object, it only takes 1 second or less than a second for me to know, hey, that's a pen. Not only could I use it as a weapon, but I could write with it. I could use it as an instrument. I immediately realize all the different ways that I can utilize this tool. And it's because my nervous system's already familiar with it. So that's inevitably the answer to why do we have to have it in the right place first so my body learns it. And then technically I could put it in other places of my body and I still know it's the same thing because I've already learned it.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, we know that with our other modalities that we have, that the HPT all does, will eventually get to all areas of what our other tech does as well, right? Now, we came out with Jay came out with the Neurovax patch, which the timing was spectacular, especially with what's going on in the world. And, you know, I think optimization of our immune system is so paramount in the world we live in right now. And so we, my sister, for an example, was using the Neurovax patch and had incredible results with bringing down her high blood pressure. Okay, so she was, you know, was very, very surprised to see how fast the patch worked for her over a period of a week to get her blood pressure in check. Now, we've had success, but there's a woman who had originally been wearing our technology to try and see if it would help with her migraines, which it did. In March, mid-March, she put on a neuro patch in the morning, and then she put on a harmony patch in the afternoon, and she also included her socks as well. By 8:30 in the evening, her blood pressure went up, and to a certain degree, her feet were red, and she could see a pattern on her feet. She does have borderline high blood pressure that takes medication, and she takes medication at bedtime. She removed all the tech and took her medication and had an Epsom salt bath. And with her, within an hour or so, her blood pressure started to come down. And by the morning, she was back to normal. Now, we've often heard you say, Doc, that sometimes when the technology perceives something is not right, it's going to go after that area. And so sometimes we've talked about how sometimes an old injury or an old wound, the pain can actually increase. and it's our perception of what we're feeling that it tells us in most cases, oh, something's happening, it's bad, right? And so maybe we just speak a little bit about this, because we're not talking pathology, we're just talking a situation that somebody experienced. And she started wearing the socks again, but she's a little bit leery of using the other forms of tech because of this little scare of her blood pressure going up. And maybe we can just speak to that a little bit for this amazing customer.
Sure. So, first of all, let me say that there are no contraindications to using this tech for anybody. So, we don't have any conditions out there that says if you put this on, it's going to make that condition worse. So, with that, it's not forcing your body to do anything. It's freeing up your nervous system to understand what's going on and to help it find homeostasis faster. So, let me give the analogy of, I like to call this one the lo mein to mein story. Okay. And so let's just say, for instance, Terry, you and I, we were in Vegas and we decided to go out to dinner. We went for Chinese food. We both ordered lo mein, but instead we got to mein, which is food poisoning. Okay. So, unbeknownst to us, we had a great time, had a great dinner. We went back to our hotel room, and then all of a sudden you called me like an hour later and you said, "Hey, I can't find my wallet. I might have dropped it in the taxi. Did you by chance see it, or do you think I might have left it on the table there?" And I says, "Man, I don't know about your wallet, but I'm sick as a dog. Are you sick from that food? I got home and I've been like having diarrhea. I've been throwing up. I got a fever." And you say, "No, man, I feel fine. Like, gosh, we ate the same thing." Well, society would look at this situation and say, "Well, Mark, you're just super sensitive to things, and you couldn't handle the food, and so it made you sick because you're just so sensitive to it. And Terry's got like an iron gut over there, and it didn't bother him at all. So you're a sickly person, and he's healthy." Well, after about an hour, I got rid of it all, right? So I actually had my fever break and I felt great. And I had a good night's sleep, woke up the next morning, and back to my normal self again. And then about, 3 or 4 days later, we all get home from our trip. And then all of a sudden, Terry, man, he's just got no energy and he's down. And he's just like, "Man, that jet lag, it's just, I haven't been able to bounce back." And next thing you know, he's full on sick for like a week and doesn't work and misses work, and just thinks that maybe he just caught a bug or something on the plane, and doesn't relate it back to the he's got food poisoning that spent about 3 days brewing in his gut, and then it overtook his whole immune system, and now he's having to go to the doctor and get on antibiotics and do XYZ treatments to try to get his health back, where in that scenario he was supposed to be the healthy one with the iron gut. My system, because I was more in tune with my nervous system, I recognized the threat immediately and says, "Hey, this is no good. We're getting it out one way or another. We're going to raise the temperature and kill everything. And within a very short period of time, you're better." And so, too often, society doesn't pay attention to the signs and the signals, and they just try to stop these symptoms and mask them right away. Now, granted, if it's a life threatening symptom, you need to do that. But in most cases, it's your body trying to just figure out what's going on. So we go back to the scenario at hand that you're discussing. There's something in one of her organs or her systems or his system. I don't remember if it was a male or
Mhm.
female, that may have been compromised, and they've been trying to heal it. And as soon as the tech is on, all of a sudden it's realizing we got to get the blood thinned out. We got to open this up to get it into the nooks and crannies of their body that they haven't been able to get because there's areas that are clogged for whatever reason or another. So, in the essence of trying to force blood into an area to save the tissue and remodel it and heal it and do all of that, you're noticing some pressure increase along the way. And so, it's a give and take system. Your body is regulating and creating more pressure, knowing what its own limit is, just as if it would raise the temperature. It knows it can go up to 104, 105, and usually get the job done without having to go to 110 and fry your brain. And so your own innate intelligence isn't going to force something to go out of a healthy range without good reason to do there. And so, again, there's a time and a place where people get concerned, take the tech off, much like she did, and then took an Epsom salt bath. She took her medication. She woke up, things tend to be back to normal. I don't believe that's going to be the same effect again if she put it on. It was whatever her body and her immunity was dealing with that day that created a response. Again, there's no side effects to it. So if you're not liking the effect, take it off. But in most cases, it's not going to be a repeatable thing that you're going to see that same symptom come back. Now, if it was, let's say, pain that came in, much like we said, it's doing a search and discovery, looking for weaknesses and breakdowns in the nervous system, and then identifying it. So, okay, I feel a little bit of discomfort there. Well, pay attention to how long it took for you to feel that from the time you put the tech on. Take it off if you don't like feeling that. If you keep it on, most likely within an hour, it'll be gone and your body will heal it that much faster. Other people will tend to just each day try to put it back on, and it takes a little longer before I felt some discomfort in that area. Eventually, you won't even feel the discomfort. So whether you want to wean yourself onto the product or just keep it on and see if you can bear it for a little bit and let your body neutralize and bring it back. So it's all about function. And when your body's trying to function better, you may be very in tune with that and feel and experience exactly what it's trying to do. Other people may not really know how to identify those feelings as to what it's actually doing in your body. But it is absolutely safe. It's not going to cause harm. It's going to help your body figure things out faster and better in the long run. And the longer you wear it, the more permanent change is going to help your neurology overall. And we've seen that with our 3-year study.
Yeah, exactly. And I can speak to the experience long before I knew about neurotech. In my early 50s, I had to get my first pair of progressive lenses. And I have
Mhm.
astigmatism called keratoconus. And so my corneas are sort of pointy on the top and bottom when they should be oval. Now, when I got these particular glasses, when I put them on, because it was affecting my eyes in a different way, I got very dizzy. And I was, I know people that said, I just can't wear them. They got, dizzy as well, and they just wouldn't wear them. They would have like 3 different pairs of glasses or whatever. But in my case, I was mad because the glasses were expensive and I wasn't going to let them beat me. So I would get dizzy, I would take them off, and I would wait till that dizziness kind of went away and put on my old glasses. Then I was like, damn, I got to put these on again and try it again. And I put them on, and each time I could wear them longer until whatever they were eliciting in my eyes, different muscles, different ways my eyes operated, it was causing a little bit of dizziness. But I was able to battle through that by taking them off, putting them on, taking them off, putting them on. So I think that's a very, very great point you make, Dr. Mark, that if it, if it is not something you can battle through on a full-time basis, it is okay to take the tech off and to give your symptoms, allow your symptoms to calm down a little bit again. But I think it's just as important to put it right back on again. And because the neurology, as you said, is discovering something that's not quite aligned or in tune at that particular thing. So that's a great analogy, and it's nice to know that I experienced something like that long before I knew about the technology. So I had a real comfort level with being able to talk to people about, if they felt something different, it's not always a bad thing, right? And so that was important. For our new viewers on here, we have a lot of talk. We've heard a lot of talk about brain map and QEEG. So maybe what you could speak to a little bit is about, the proof beyond a shadow of a doubt that we have through brain mapping, which is something that you have been doing for a long, long time, and what a brain map actually does, and how could somebody get one if they wanted one?
So let me ask a quick question. Is Boomi available in UK yet? Because
Yes.
I have a study that I could show on that.
Um, is Bumio? I'm not quite sure on that. I know Rosalie.
Yes, it is.
It is okay. Great. Nikki said
All
it.
right.
It is available now. So thank you, Nikki.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer that question by sharing some slides from a new product that was just released. It's not even available here in the United States yet. So for those US people, I'm so sorry. But it is coming out soon and they are very
I
amazing
think they
and
just released
super
it in the
exciting.
States, Doc. I think they just released in the States, but in limited sizes.
Oh, okay. Well, I know I got them ahead of time just to do the study
Yeah,
before
I
they
think
go
they
into.
were released actually on late Thursday night or Friday morning, just prior to the weekend, but in limited size categories right now.
But it is not, there is no more left.
I'm not surprised, but we're working to get them back online for sure.
All right, so we'll work with that for sure. Let me just say, I was absolutely shocked at how comfortable these socks are, and they're made from plastic water bottles, recycled plastic bottles, and so I wasn't expecting them to be more comfortable than our other socks, but we were all very quite surprised and quite happy on the whole process.
Sure.
So they've become known as the happy socks in my family. This is elevated mind technology. So this is the sixth pattern of technology that Vox Life has produced. And this one is to really affect our moods. They are mood socks, happy socks. It's called EMT, Elevated Mind Technology. And so with this study, we just started it out with 4 people. So I just wanted to get a glimpse of what is this actually doing? And so you're going to see 2 images. The first image is going to be a baseline map. And then the second one is going to be after we put on our quote happy socks and waited just about, I think just 2 minutes. So we didn't wait long and to get the other test. This is very quickly response, just like our HPT technology, and not too far off. The average in the 4 people that we used was 32% improvement in overall brain's neurology in relationship to all of the mood networks. So that is pretty exciting. We see cortex go from only a little bit gray to a lot more of the gray come back. So here gray is normal, the yellow is 2 times too fast, and the red is 4 times too fast. So we see in several scenarios much and much less yellow into the post map, which is great. And again, we're not looking at all functions of the brain's neurology, we're just isolating the mood networks. And so that's what you're seeing there. So with that, here's the mood network in general, the regulator of how you're allowing yourself to feel. When we see all these purple dots in here, these are the specific regions of tissue in your brain that have a very specific function. Each one of them connect together with all the other dots in this network to, in essence, regulate and control your mood. So the fewer the lines we see, the better the functioning network is, okay? So here we see blue and reds and yellows on the left image. Anytime we're seeing both ends of the spectrum, the blues are either too slow or stop talking to each other. And the reds and the yellows and the oranges are too fast. They're basically talking over each other. So they're not hearing and comprehending what is actually going on. So we see after we put the socks on, all the blue lines disappeared and some of the yellow lines disappeared as well too. So we see the pattern get thinner when we can see through these purple dots. And in some cases, it'll clear the entire network for people. So it just depends on what's really going on with each individual person. But we're seeing these common factors happen amongst everybody. So here's an anxiety network. The more lines you see, the more feelings of anxiety you're going to have. Here we have, again, great improvement. So now we even have some slider gauges at the bottom here. we're supposed to be within this green range here to be healthy and not experiencing signs of anxiety. So the more lines you see, the more that slider goes into the red, and that becomes more and more and more anxiety. So we see went from 50, this particular case went from 50% anxiety. Can somebody please mute their screen, please?
I've got
So
it.
we can see 50% anxiety down to 25% in just, again, a few seconds, within maybe 2 minutes by the time we took this second brain map. So that's considerable. Now we also have depression network. This is the other end of the spectrum, when people are sad and can't seem to snap out of it. So again, the blue lines are less, well, they're just different, okay? And we definitely have a lot less of the red lines as well too. We can see through the image better. In a healthy brain, every one of these purple dots will send a line to every purple dot in the network. So when I take all the healthy lines away, all you're seeing are the dysfunctional ones left. So remember, the fewer the lines, the less depression we have. So we're seeing an average of people going from 63% to 38%, and some of them clearing the network altogether, like we see here. And so super exciting just to see those amazing results. So low motivation, another network. The more lines you have, the more you're talking yourself out of doing all the fun stuff in your life as well. So we see this network cleared as well. Very amazing. Emotional memory network, being able to have just certain memories make you feel certain ways, and being able to regulate and control that. We're seeing amazing changes there. The limbic system, this is your heart brain, okay? This tells my body how I should be feeling. If it's exciting, it's great, but if it stays exciting, it turns into stressfulness and anxiety. And so there's a time and a place to feel whatever's going on around you. And when you're continuing to feel certain ways after the fact, it's hard to regulate and basically turn things on and off. So that's that limbic system that we're seeing there. And then surprisingly, we see the addiction network do amazing changes on people as well. So, this is the tendency to be addicted to certain stimuli or not. And when people have a lot of anxiety and depressed and different mood issues, this network is usually very much offline too, and you're willing to try anything to try to feel better. So we're seeing that network completely clear as well in several people in the study. So the default mode network, this is your inner voice when nobody's around and you're just talking to yourself. Is it a bunch of chaos in there, or is it clear? And so all of that plays a big role. So that's a brief example of looking at some films through a brain map. We have pretty much in-depth studies on that for all the products that we have, and our hour to 40-minute presentations going through all of those in great detail as well. So the brain mapping in and of itself, it's called a QEEG, and we have 19 channels around the brain that are recording thousands of neural synapses every 100th of a second. Then compiles that data and allows us to build 3D images of the brain and peel layers back and be able to pull up networks like we just saw. And there's so much more that we can see depending on the case and the brain and what we're looking at. Now, I did have the privilege of tracking a couple dozen people over the last 3 years and doing random brain maps on them, all 8 months or more apart from each other. And the results we saw with that were phenomenal. The longer you're wearing this technology, the more strength you have in those areas, and the stronger the neural responses are in ability to regulate your nervous system in those areas. And if it's the HPT, it's eventually your whole brain. So it's like doing neurofeedback on a very slow basis all the time, just by having the technology on your body.
Great, thank you. So that leads me into our next question, Dr. Mark. We have our, eSmarter sleeve, which is our eSmarter cognitive boost technology that we see in our sleeve. So what are some of the differences that we see between the Boomi EMT and the sleeve with CBT?
So the sleeve is more cognition networks. That's more of your attention, your focus, your recall, the speed, your accuracy, decision making. These are areas of cognition, things that you need to really be sharp and quote in the zone for, like playing sports and gaming and being a musician or an artist and trying to get into the flow of things, or just even being an executive and being able to get work done at your desk and be more efficient and just stay on track throughout the day. Those are areas of cognition. I need to be cognizant. Driving in your vehicle would be a good time to be wearing the sleeve, just so that you're sharp, you're alert, you're focused. Okay, so focused is where we're thinking cognitive boost technology, and then the brain technology for the new tech is going to be more for your moods. Okay, and so the elevated mind technology, think of it as my moods. It's my happy socks. It's going to help me feel good. It's going to help me console with people and be able to really tap into how they're feeling and meet them there and be able to move them out of there and get them back feeling well again, in that aspect. But even for your own self, it's going to give you more reserve in the areas of your brain that are regulating your moods and what you're choosing to feel. Remember, nobody can make you feel any kind of way unless you let them. So why do we let some people get our goat or let them make us feel a certain kind of way? It's because we just don't have reserve in these networks. And these networks aren't strong enough. And so we let little things become big problems mentally for us. And so it really is wonderful to be able to tap into these parts of our brain and give us a little bit more reserve, so we have more patience, we have more peace. We are able to secrete the proper neurotransmitters, the dopamine, the serotonin, the norepinephrine, the endorphins. All of these are regulating our moods. And so we want to be able to produce them and receive them. It's not just what we're producing, it's what we're utilizing. And so these are all functions of the nervous system's ability to roll with that. And so it's just really amazing that we have something that can tap into our nervous system and actually fix the root of these problems rather than masking the symptom. We can take medications for depression and for anxiety. And you know what? There's a time and a place for that, and it might get you through a short season because you're going through a difficult time, but it's not fixing anything in your neurology. It's just buying you time, and it's dangerous because now you got your foot on the brake and the gas at all times. If I took a brain map of somebody with full-blown anxiety, it's going to look like a brain on fire. Now they put them on the medication and they feel great. Their brain still looks like it's a brain on fire. It's not fixing the way or the cause of the problem. It's just masking a symptom. And so a time and a place for that, but it's dangerous if the place and the time is for years or decades. That becomes very detrimental to your nervous system. So we offer real solutions for real people that tap into the nervous system and fix the real problem. Balance the neurology, and then your body will follow. It wants nothing more than you to be healthy and whole and function ideally, and your nervous system isn't judging you for how you're treating it and what you ate last night. It's going to affect the way it functions, but it's not judging you for it. It only knows how to show up to work and give 110% of whatever it can do. Now, where are your limitations? Is your diet really poor, so you're trying to build new cells out of thin air? I don't know. Is your neurology so messed up from all the chaos that we're exposed to and all the stress that we're under and all the chemicals that we're exposed to and the lack of sleep that we get? I mean, you have to realize that the nervous system is the number one system in your entire body. It's guiding, dictating, and directing the function of every single one of your 100 trillion cells. You have to pay more attention to the nervous system than anything else, and your brain. If you're not doing things to adequately affect the function of your brain, it doesn't just get better. It doesn't just heal. It doesn't replace itself. Those tissues don't have a lifespan where they're going to remodel themselves into a better tissue like the rest of your body has that ability. Your brain and spine, those are the same cells you were born with, same ones you're going to die with. It's up to us to do things to impact those cells and improve the function. And guess what? We can grow new tissue, but you have to work at it. And you have to be actively trying to do something about it to target it, whether it's active neurofeedback training or whether you're doing different nutrients to help the function of your neurology in your brain, or whether you're wearing neurotech that easily goes right to those areas and opens up all the doors and lets the breeze come through, lets the traffic in and out, lets the function of your neurology be improved by 30%. If you really understood that statement, you would never take these products off you, ever. You'd feel naked the minute it was off because I just lost 30%. I don't care how healthy you are, how sick you are. You put the tech on, you got 30 more percent. And so that 30% in neurology world is ridiculous. It's amazing. 5% is amazing. 5% will get people to move mountains when it comes to getting abilities back.
Mhm.
So 30% is just ridiculous. It's amazing.
Yeah, you know, to have those, you know, those averages, those numbers so high is always mind blowing to me. And, you know, I know myself in a brain map that I've part of a study with you that's seeing concussion issues. And then 9 months later, it's like, where'd they go? You know, they're not there anymore. And so the really exciting thing for me was feeling that difference, feeling that, you know, ability to stay on task was so much better. And that's really, really exciting. Now we know that, you know, in North America, and I'm sure in most places around the world, that, you know, sleep is a big issue. Getting proper sleep and why sleep is so important. And we have our REM patch, which is one of our 6 modalities. We have had, you know, people experience with HPT and say, yeah, I'm sleeping better. I'm sleeping better. But let's talk a little bit in relation to HPT being our gateway product, open the door, and how HPT then recognizes, oh my goodness, I have this helper called REM, the REM patch or the sleep patch, and what things we've seen occur. We've heard stories a little bit where people's experience nightmares, they start to dream more. And let's talk a little bit about, you know, what this patch does as far as your sleep network.
So you're absolutely right, Terry, how important sleep is for each and every one of us. And it's not something that you can just make up for lost sleep. If you don't get sleep, you're damaging your nervous system. You're damaging your brain particularly. And it will catch up to you and you will see some major declines. And so it's not uncommon to know that over 53% of the world struggles every single night with sleep and has to take a sleep aid. Okay. And so it really is a big issue. We have different sleep cycles. You got your light sleep, which is half your night. And that's memories and emotions, kind of the pruning the branches on the trees of unnecessary memories that I don't need to store in my short-term memory. And it just kind of cleans up the room. Um, so that's the light sleep. Now this REM patch, it's targeting the areas for deep and for REM sleep. So the deep sleep is when your body does all the healing. This is when you're going to remodel and lay down 75% of all the new cells that are laid down in one day happen during like a half hour to an hour of deep sleep. It really is amazing. It's like plugging your phone back into the charger. You can use your phone all day long and you only need to charge it for less than an hour and it's fully charged. Okay. And I guess it depends on the phone, but you get the idea. So if we're not getting into deep sleep throughout the night, and it's not like you just get there and you get it all done in 45 minutes and you're done. If you did, you could get away with 3 hours sleep every night and be fully rested and recharged and remodeled. But our body will cycle through the sleep cycles, and it'll take me on average of about 7 hours to get 3 hours of deep and REM sleep. So if deep sleep is all about the body healing and remodeling itself, REM sleep is all about the brain. And the brain needs to go through its time. And now that's rapid eye movement. This is when you're dreaming. So if you're not dreaming and you don't have vivid dreams, you're not getting enough REM sleep. Okay. And so uh, the sleeping and the dreaming is REM sleep. when you're just completely unconscious and hard to wake up, that's deep sleep for those of you. So what we have seen has just been remarkable. This patch takes about 30 minutes to kick in. It's going to do twofold. The first thing it's going to do is it's going to calm down those fast brain waves that would make you lay in bed and just ruminate and think about things over and over again. I'm so tired, I need to sleep, but I just can't turn my brain off. And so it's going to help turn down those fast brain waves. And then it's going to wake up the slow brain waves, which is your delta and your REM, delta and theta brain waves. And that's your deep and your REM sleep accordingly. So that is just so important that we be able to tap into that. And most people's brain has so much going on. It's like brain on fire for most people, or there's just not enough going on because things are slowing down and shutting down on them. So it really is important that you get good quality sleep. You know you're getting it if you're waking up refreshed, have plenty of energy, don't need caffeine to get going in the morning. But if the first thought in your brain is when you wake up that, oh, it's morning, I wish I could still sleep a little longer. Okay, guaranteed you didn't get enough REM sleep. Okay, that's a lack of brain sleep makes you wake up feeling tired. Okay, if you're not dreaming, that's also REM, lack of REM sleep. If your body's just achy and sore as you're getting up, you didn't get enough deep sleep and you didn't get enough remodeling and healing time. So, you can do things like get a ring or a band of some sort that's going to monitor your sleep habits so you can track and just see how consistent they are. But I urge you to do that because you might get the same amount of hours of sleep when you start using the REM patch, but find out that you just doubled your deep and your REM sleep, and that's where that's where it's at. That's where the healing comes from, and that's how this amazing product can help you get into those levels of sleep without waking up groggy and like a lot of the medications will. And sometimes the medications could interfere with your body doing all the healing and remodeling while you're asleep, but you're still asleep. So I don't want to take up too much time. I got a few minutes left. So did I
Yeah, no,
answer your
that's
question?
great because I think it's very important that, I mean, quantity of sleep, quantity of sleep is good, but quality of sleep
Yeah.
is what we truly need. And this really has shown over time that the people's quality of sleep is a lot better because we have people saying that, hey, I only slept for like 6 hours and I feel wonderful as compared to sleeping for like 8 hours and I feel exhausted, when I get up after 8 hours. So very, very, very well said. Just quickly, before we finish, Dr. Mark, I want to just touch on the Neurovax and how important our quality of blood is in environments that we're living in with EMT and so on, and talk a little bit about what we've seen in live, in dark field images for blood analysis of what it's done for Rouleau or blood clumping, just quickly as we finish off the call.
Okay, so as we mentioned, life is in the blood, right? And so the first most important system in our body is our nervous system. There's no question for that. And so that's our HPT product, and pretty much all the other products are tapping right into the nervous system. This one's also tapping into the nervous system, but the area it's going is the area that controls that gut-brain connection, your vagus nerve, and your immune responses, your thymus, your spleen. And these are the areas that are helping you produce red blood cells. And so this is a product that I initially thought would be an immune system booster. As much as it is that, I've come to realize it's more of an immune system regulator, more importantly. And so typically within an hour of putting this product on your body, we see the blood start to function better. So again, here's that word function again. It's nervous system function, blood function. If your blood functions better, it identifies things that aren't supposed to be there. It tags them and removes them. It also has the ability to get into the nooks and the crannies of your tissues if they're not all clumped together or damaged. So without looking at pathologies and conditions, you can just look at the blood function to determine how healthy is this individual. If they get all the red blood cells get stuck together like a roll of lifesavers, that's called rouleaus, and this is when the surface area gets compromised. And so now each of those red blood cells that's supposed to be able to touch the tissue and deliver the oxygen and the nutrients Now it only has the little surface area on the edges to touch because they're all stuck together. So not only that, they can't get into the smaller size capillaries to deliver all the goods because they got a whole bus of people all stuck together trying to get into a little tiny door. So it just isn't going to happen. You might also see cells that are damaged from bacteria and so forth. And so we did brain maps and blood draws as a baseline, 1 hour, 12 hours, and 24 hours from putting the product on. And again, it was remarkable. In most cases, it only took an hour. Some people, it took the full 24 hours, but the blood woke back up, opened back up, became fully full of oxygen, and started functioning better. And then the white blood cells would be swimming around very active. So it was remarkable to see the brain change first and then the blood follow.
Yeah.
So it's a physiological homeostasis.
Yeah, that's incredible. We have our neurological homeostasis and or balance, and then in addition to that, having a physiological homeostasis or balance is just a 1-2 punch for sure. So thank you, Dr. Mark. Karen asked, what is the material in the patches? And there is nothing in the patches. The patches are made out of a light plastic material, and the code or pattern is acid etched into the actual product itself. So there's nothing in the patches that's going into your body. It's a surface touch. Fair enough to say that, or Doc, do you want to elaborate on that?
No, I agree.
Yeah. So there's no material. The material is just a food grade plastic that allows the pattern to be acid etched on there. And as Dr. Mark alluded to earlier, that the heat on your body will wear that acid etching down over time, and so it will then render it ineffective over a period of time beyond what the prescribed time is. So once again, Dr. Mark, fantastic call. We really, really appreciate your time. I'm going to be calling on you for UK, for speaking for our UK friends on our next opportunity event in the UK. And we certainly always appreciate your input. We appreciate your knowledge and your wisdom. You have an unbelievably calm and great way of putting things so that the field can understand those things. And we are all grateful for everything you do. So with that being said, thanks very much, everybody, for being on the call, and we'll look forward to having Dr. Mark on again, God willing, in 2 weeks from now on Monday afternoon. So thanks again, Dr. Mark, and thanks for showing up, everybody. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Bye now.